He impersonated a pilot and flew over 1.8 million miles for free, swindled nearly $4 million through forged checks, worked as a legal assistant, served as a pediatric resident supervisor, and became a wanted man across multiple countries. You might find this hard to believe, but he pulled off all these cons before he even turned 19. It all started the day he transferred schools at age 16. On his first day, he asked a classmate where the French classroom was when some chubby kid bumped into him and nearly knocked him over. When he got to the classroom, he saw the same kid was there too, so he decided to pose as a substitute teacher, writing his own name on the blackboard. The bully suddenly got nervous, and Frank seized the moment by calling him up to read from the textbook. That's when the real substitute teacher walked in. You'd think this charade would be over, right? Wrong. Frank confidently announced, "I'm the substitute teacher for this class." He was so convincing that even the actual substitute believed him and awkwardly left the room. Frank had fooled his classmates and the substitute teacher, and it took the school a whole week to catch on. How did they finally figure it out? He was teaching lessons, assigning homework, and everything seemed normal until he held a parent-teacher conference the day before. That's what blew his cover. Even after getting caught and having his parents called in, Frank was still showing a girl next to him how to forge excuse notes, explaining that you had to fold them properly to make them look more authentic. When his parents' marriage fell apart and the lawyer asked him to choose between his father or mother for custody, Frank chose to run away from it all. With no money and nowhere to go, his devious mind started working again. He began by changing dates on checks and altering names, but his crude forgery skills got him rejected everywhere. Then he spotted a pilot who was incredibly popular with everyone around him, and Frank decided he wanted to be just like that guy. The next day, he showed up at Pan Am Airlines with a camera and a couple of books, pretending to be a student doing research on pilots' daily routines. The supervisor was so helpful that he even gave Frank an actual pilot's license as a souvenir. Frank then called Pan Am pretending to be a pilot who had lost his uniform, and just like that, he got himself a perfectly fitted pilot's uniform. He strutted down the street, basking in the status and enjoying all the perks that came with it. Using a typewriter, he forged Pan Am payroll checks and stuck logos from model airplanes onto them before cashing them at banks. When the teller started examining the check closely, he'd distract her by saying, "Miss, you have such beautiful eyes." The teller would instantly melt, and he'd walk away with the cash. He used that first $300 to buy more model planes and forge even more checks. He used his fake identity to catch free rides on flights and win over beautiful women. To make his checks look increasingly authentic, he went to a bank and struck up a conversation with a female employee, learning from her that every check needed to be printed with special magnetic ink and encoded numbers. At an auction, he bought a magnetic ink printer that had been repossessed from a bankrupt bank. From that point on, Frank's forged checks reached a whole new level of sophistication. It wasn't long before he caught the attention of federal investigators.